In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the experiences that I had on this latest school excursion, which was overnight to the Miura Peninsula with a bunch of third graders, and how you can also try and take advantage of school excursions at your school, or if you're not working at a public or private school, how you can possibly arrange or accompany a group of students when they go on their overnight school excursion. Let's go. So way back when, during my school days, we always used to take school field trips, and they were the best. Except, I don't remember ever having any overnight school field trips. Most schools all have excursions and field trips, and it's basically to help build good relationships between classmates and within the grade level. Also, there's sometimes curriculum advantages, for example, going to places to help study social studies or science or even English. The field trip that I just recently went on was 2 nights and 3 days. So a couple of things that you might like to know about how these trips are arranged are that the Japanese teachers that are assigned to that particular grade level pretty much make the decisions and the arrangements well in advance. We're talking a year, usually a year in advance. So usually when one trip finishes, they already start booking for the next trip. This ensures that they have, if they're lucky, the same hotel, the same travel routes, and if anything perhaps needs to be tweaked or changed, they go ahead and do that right then and there. Let me back up. Even before these trips are arranged, the teachers in charge do something called a shitami, and what that is it's a pre-trip. So those teachers will go and they'll check out all the places that are scheduled for the itinerary. They'll check out the rooms, they'll stay in the hotel, and go over the menu. So many little things that, you know, I wouldn't have thought about, but they also use a travel agent, either a travel agent that is affiliated with the school or someone that the teachers decide upon as a group. And they work very closely with the travel agent to establish how many buses they need, what type of food arrangements they may need. Will they have to eat on the bus? What kind of things will they need to bring? So it's very, very thorough. That was one of the things that really impressed me, is how organized these trips are. I was really impressed with how much individual attention is taken into consideration for each child that maybe has allergies, maybe has special needs that need to be taken care of, and they work together with the travel agent, the hotel staff, the accommodations, all the different places that they go to make sure that all kids are well taken care of. On this trip, it was a little interesting for me to see before meals how they had to make sure and check that every child with the allergy got the correct menu. Then they also had a table with the school doctors and nurses that had everything ready for the kids that are on medication. And the kids right before dinner or right after dinner, they go to that specific table, they get their medicine, they take their medicine, so everything is very closely monitored. The students stay in these hotel rooms. Some of the rooms had as few as 4 students, and some rooms had as many as 13 students. These rooms are big rooms. They're Japanese style rooms where they sleep on a futon or a foldable mattress, and they can very well accommodate all the students. In between the rooms, they make sure that there's a teacher placed in various areas, so if the students at any time need help, they know where the teacher accommodations are, and they know what to do if in case of an emergency. once it comes time to bedtime, you monitor and you make sure all the students get to sleep on time. That being said, the students do not always get to sleep on time, and you'll get kids coming in sometimes at different hours of the night saying either they have a stomach ache, they have a headache, they can't sleep, they miss their mom. It's a lot of responsibility, and you have to make sure that the kids are safe at all times and that they're healthy. And anything that you are a little bit worried or concerned about, immediately you check everything out. The pace is pretty hectic, you know, like there's always jokes about Japanese tours and how everything, right? You go to a place, you take your pictures, you get your souvenirs, you do whatever the activity is, and then boom, you're back on the bus and you go to the next place. And that's kind of how school trips are. So you can forget about leisure sightseeing. You know, you go in, and the time, it's so important to be very, very strict with the time. The students are really good about that, I must say. When you get a meeting place, they're usually there. The hardest part of this trip, actually there were two hard parts for me of this trip. And one of them was the bathroom situation, because a lot of times when you're on the go and you're going to these different spots, of course, all the students have to take toilet breaks. And sometimes at these activity venues or these museums, they only have maybe 3 to 5 stalls. At one of the places, the restaurant we went to, they only had like 1 stall per sex. And it takes a long time when you've got 103 kids. You probably won't get a lot of sleep. This is because the kids have a bedtime, so a curfew. Our curfew was 8:30. The kids had to be in bed, lights out, by 8:30. And most of them, you know, the first day it was impossible for them to get to sleep. And I think the last child dozed off at about 10:30. And then they have a wake-up call time. For our kids, it was 6 o'clock. So we actually have to be up before then, because at 6 o'clock we've got to go around to each of the doors and knock on them. Now, the funny thing with this trip is the kids were all told in their luggage packing to bring an alarm clock. Okay, alarm clock. What do you think of? Those little travel alarms? You know, your iPhone or your smartphone. But since the kids can't bring smartphones, I would have thought they would just bring a simple little travel clock, or maybe just set the alarm on their watch. But no, we had kids that brought these big Pikachu alarm clocks, and this one that had 13 different kinds of bird noises, and it's like a roulette, and whichever bird it lands on, that's the alarm that sounds for that morning. So that was kind of funny. You know, the kids all did wake up on time, but to hear all these different alarm clocks go off was hilarious. Food-wise, I was in heaven. If you are not a lover of the food that is served, it could be a problem, because, right, everybody eats the same thing, except for the kids with allergies that have a similar menu but with substitutions. If you're planning to go on a school trip, or if you really want to go on a school trip, sometimes they might not be able to make special menus just for you. So that's an area you might want to check out if you're planning to ask permission to go on one of your school's trips. Another thing is you do a lot of walking, and a lot of sitting on the floor, because we ate Japanese style, so we were sitting on cushions, and my knees are still killing me. The other cool thing is, because you're a school group, sometimes you get these extra advantages. You get special activity books, or you get to go to places that maybe you wouldn't go to ordinarily as a tourist. The kids got to do a lot of interactive activities, hands-on stuff. And this is one of the reasons why I support field trips and letting the kids go outside the classroom to explore and learn. I think it's really, really important. And I'm glad that Japanese schools support this, and don't cut these type of programs. So if you work at a language school, or if you possibly want to arrange something, some kind of excursion with your students, I would say the first thing to do is get a really good travel agency that you can work with. Many travel agencies nowadays do speak English if your Japanese skills are limited. Have an idea of the budget that you want to spend. If you have something maybe that you're thinking about, like let's say you work at an elementary school now or junior high school, and you'd like to suggest an itinerary to take your students on, then what you could do is do exactly the same system that the Japanese teachers do. Go on a pre-trip, write down everything, write down your course, how much time it takes, how expensive it is, what type of activities they have, what type of rainy day activities you can do if it should rain on your parade or on your plan. It did on ours. So we didn't get to go on the hike, this one hike, but we had an alternate plan. And present it to your school. Now they may be reluctant because a lot of schools sometimes do the same trip over and over again. They do the same trip every year. Parents kind of expect that, kids expect that, teachers expect that. But I would say they're always open to suggestions. And who knows, maybe if you've got a really good trip planned, they can maybe work it in at another time, or you can offer it maybe as like a summer program. I know a lot of schools now, they offer special summer camp programs to students that are interested. And these summer camps could focus either on teaching English, they could be, math oriented, they could be science oriented, or they could be activity oriented. If you want to take the other route, check and see what field trips are available at your school. It's not guaranteed that you'll be able to go because they already may have a certain budget set for a number of teachers to go, and maybe adding one more teacher, they don't have the budget for it. But you never know. I've been able to go on school trips to Okinawa, to Kyoto, and it's great because all of the expenses are taken care of by the school. Most schools also, provide you with a stipend, so that because you are with the kids 24/7 and it goes beyond the call of normal working hours. And you learn a lot about the way Japanese organization at schools takes place. You learn a lot about how the kids build relationships and why teamwork and group work is so important and stressed in Japanese schools. So if you have the opportunity, I would say try and be invited or invite yourself on these trips. It's not always fun. It's a lot of hard work, and sometimes you would like to maybe just go around and go at a leisurely pace, but things are pretty fast-paced. You'll be taking probably a lot of photos, doing a lot of checking on time, taking kids to the bathroom, the health office, whatever. But it's definitely rewarding, and it helps build your camaraderie. Is that a word? It helps build your relationships with your colleagues as well as with the students. So thank you so much again for watching this video and for joining me today. If you liked this video or found it helpful, or maybe it inspires you to go out and go on a school trip with your students or arrange one with your students, please give it a thumbs up. We'd love to have you join us on future adventures, so please consider subscribing, and if you want to hit the bell so that you won't miss the next video, please hit the notification bell. This is part of a series that I'm doing about teaching in Japan, but I also try and share with you different parts about living in Japan, some of the things that I find interesting or quirky or yummy. If you have any questions or ideas or even recommendations for possible school trips, not only for me but for any of the viewers that come here, please go ahead and leave a comment. Maybe you can share with us what places you and your students have been on field trips to, and did they work out? Were they successful? Were they well organized? What didn't work? Because I think we can learn a lot by sharing with each other. And once again, it's all about the students. It's all about giving our young people the chance and the opportunity to get out of the classroom and go explore and venture out, because I don't know about you, but I am such a big advocate of field trips and excursions. And if they're overnight, well, that's learning too. So thanks again for being here. I will see you in the next video. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.